no one is me. And I know that whatever industry I get into or whatever project I'm working on, I know that I have something special to offer.
Hey guys, welcome to Soul Vitamins. Welcome to Soul Vitamins. I'm your host, Sonali, and today I'm joined by the amazing London Kasmir. London is a host and multimedia personality, digital creator who's worked in so many different industries, beauty, fashion, and entertainment. She's landed roles for Hallmark, Lifetime, and ABC, and she now works in social media strategy and content creation for a global beauty brand based in New York. London, that's quite the background. Welcome, and
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Me too. It's so good to see you, even virtually. And I really wanted to bring you on because of how much you inspired me as a fellow talk show or fellow podcast host. So you started your show, which is you providing wisdom, advice, and tips to your viewers about navigating through life with faith and confidence. So I love your podcast. It's so good. You also, side note, you have like an amazing natural podcast voice. It's so soothing. I just love the impact that you had with your show. And it's something that I really want to bring in with Soul Vitamins. Hope to inspire other creators out there to launch their own things, maybe get out of a creative rut. So thank you so much for that inspo and for being with us today. Cheers, darling.
Cheers.
I'm excited for this conversation because it's all going to be geared towards like social media stuff. And I'm definitely a newbie in this because I've been in 5 years in investment banking, and now I'm kind of transitioning into a totally new industry that you have so much experience with. So with all of these algorithms changing in social media, all of the new platforms, Instagram now kind of shifting to shopping and more video platform with TikTok rising. It's so hard to keep up with. How do you as a digital creator kind of stay up to date, make sure your content is relevant?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I feel like we're all learning a new Instagram algorithm every single day. It's insane. But I will say that for me, I just kind of look at what my peers are doing, like, and see what's working for them and what's not. And then I just kind of test what my audience really wants to see and what they react to. Something that I might be like, oh yeah, that's fire. Like they're gonna love it. I might, post it or, spend time editing something or creating something and it receives like little to no response. So I think figuring out why you're really doing what you're doing and then figuring out, am I doing this for the likes and comments? Am I doing this because I'm collaborating with a brand, or am I doing this to promote myself? And for me, I really come down to why I'm doing what I'm doing. And so figuring out that it's not all about, the likes and comments, but kind of turning those likes and comments into research to figure out what people respond to and what people like is what I kind of do to, work through the algorithm changes all the time because it's really hard to keep up. So.
Yeah, no, that's such a good point with just making sure it's genuine. It's essentially, if you're doing it for just other people's feedback, then I don't think it's ever going to be as receptive as it should be. So that's good to know because I was Googling like best time to post Instagram reels. I felt like an actual boomer. Like using a computer, and it's a lot, and there's so many different websites that say different things. Similarly, you are this amazing digital creator. How do you differentiate your brand and yourself, and just kind of build this big base that you have?
Yeah, that's something that I feel like all creators struggle with because I think finding your niche is one thing, but sticking to it when you have such a creative mind or creative ideas and innovative thoughts is hard because you feel like, oh, well, I've kind of boxed myself into a certain niche and then you feel like you can't do something else or incorporate other aspects to your content creation. So for me, I don't box myself in anymore. I know when I first really got serious about Instagram and posting and blogging and such, I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna stick to fashion and a little bit of beauty and that's it. And I've learned as I've developed who I am and kind of found out what I really like and what I'm into just as a person and as a woman, I'm like, okay, I don't have to box myself in. And whatever I feel like creating or, producing or coming up with, it's going to feel good coming from a place knowing that it's authentic to me. So for me, it's like, okay, yes, there's other people. It's a very saturated industry to get into as far as content creation, or if you're an influencer or a digital creator. But for me, it's like no one is me. And I know that whatever industry I get into or whatever project I'm working on, I know that I have something special to offer my not only my audience, but myself too. It's like when I am creating content, I'm looking at it and I'm learning who I am through the content that I make. And I think if you at the end of the day remember that you're making it to keep yourself motivated, but also other people, at the end of the day, like that's one plus person that include, if you count yourself, that you impacted. So for me, it's just kind of like going back to your first question that you asked me, that pertains to this one. It's remembering who I am and remembering what feels good to me and knowing that there's a space for me because no one can create what I can create.
That's so, so true, London. I feel like now there's millions of influencers worldwide, and there is somewhat a lack of authenticity with a lot of them. So just being yourself and showing up as you genuinely is already going to make you stand out. Like people on Instagram especially can look at pictures and look at content and tell if someone's being genuine. So that's super helpful for me, especially just to because there's so many comparisons out there. We're naturally going to look at others and want to act a certain way or fit into a certain box. But the best way is just obviously show up as you. So thank you. Now, so your process with partnering with different brands, can you walk us through how you do that, how you filter them? It seems like it's a joke now when things are like collab, there's all of these things just in your DMs or in your comments. I particularly have like some that are sketchy and have like one follower. So how do you kind of work through that?
Yeah, no, that's for me, it's something I used to view as really overwhelming because it's like, especially being into fashion, it's like, oh, I just want to go after every clothing brand, but that can be really overwhelming. So, what I used to do, I would say, when I was really into collaborating, was create a spreadsheet of different retailers, different brands, different companies, and categorize them by the industry. So whether it be fashion, beauty, skincare, home, lifestyle, anything like that. So, and then from there, just search Instagram, search YouTube, Pinterest, and really figure out what I like and from there, look at what those brands actually repost to their feed. So you can like, I don't know, Forever 21's clothing, right? But if you go to their page and your content doesn't look like what they would repost in feed or in their stories, more than likely they're not going to collaborate with you. And that's something that is ever changing with the brands. Sometimes, and for me working with the brand, I know this now. It's something where an influencer team one month might be like, we're working with all micro influencers, under 10,000 followers. And then the next month they might be like, you know what, we're looking for macro influencers that have 100,000 followers, and post strictly, YouTube videos. Who knows, So because you never know what the brand is looking for me, I always took the no's, or like the, hey, we'll get back to you at a later date. I didn't take it personally, because I was like, coming from the brand standpoint, you never know what they're looking for. You never know what their budget is. They may not have a budget to be working with influencers, or, maybe they're currently in production of a campaign, or maybe they're waiting for new product to launch. You just never know. There's so many factors. So for me, categorizing the brands that I want to collaborate with, and then going from what actual content can I create for them that not only makes sense for my aesthetic, but for their aesthetic as well. Because not only do you just want a brand that aligns with you, you want to align with them as well. And so I think it's important to not just reach out to a brand because they have cute clothes, or, they have like a coffee mug you love, but, really consider the content that they post, the content that you post, and if it makes sense to both parties.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I didn't think about how much more there needs to be besides like just liking the product, because also you want kind of longevity with a lot of these, right? So if you just like one thing and then you don't know anything about the company, and if it aligns to you, then it's kind of a waste of time. So I think that and staying organized with the spreadsheet is like really, really important. And how I like to end every show, my favorite question is, what's your soul vitamin? So what fuels you? What makes you feel alive? What drives you?
Yeah, so for me, it is just my support system, and that comes in a lot of different forms. So my first support system is God, my faith, and then second, my friends and family. And without them, I would be insane. So I'm just so grateful to have, my faith and my family and friends that encourage me and influence me and motivate me. And so everything else comes from that. So that's my soul vitamin.
I love that. And I think you're one of the few people that said an actual like the people versus like an activity or something like that. So I also love to mention that soul vitamins can be people and also activities, like anything that really drives you in general. So London, why I wanted to bring you on the show and why you inspired me so much is through your podcast. You're a fellow podcast gal host. With this show, I really want to not only just feature the stories of entrepreneurs and like push creatives ventures, but I hope that viewers out there will be inspired to start their own things, maybe get out of a creative rut. So thank you so much for that. And thank you for being on the show. Cheers, darling.